Welcome back to another episode of Technology for Independence with Christopher Cooley. Today, Christopher is going to be talking with several individuals from a remote service program. So stay tuned. Welcome back to another episode of Technology for Independence with Christopher Cooley. Today, Christopher has several guests from Safe and Home, and I think you're going to really find that their program deals a great deal with helping others who have some kind of disability. Chris, always a pleasure talking with you.
Always a pleasure to be here, Patrick. Today we have Carrie and Molly from Safe and Home, and to talk about their role in Safe and Home and what do they do in helping individuals become part of their remote support team. You hear about Safe and Home and you think about security. I'd like to know how it's different from a security alarm to Safe and Home. So I'm going to hand it over to Carrie to tell us a little bit about yourself and your role in Safe and Home.
Thanks, Chris. So yes, as you said, my name is Carrie Hayes, and I'm a remote supports consultant with Safe and Home. And essentially what we do is exactly what Chris was talking about, is provide security for individuals who are working to build independence. Safe and Home is very person-centered, so everything looks different. We build different systems and provide supports differently for however the individual needs it done. And Chris, you asked how it's different from just a security system versus the remote supports added in. Exactly that. So remote supports are actual individuals that are providing support for the individual in the home. However, they are not in the home. They are at a remote location. So that allows them the opportunity to build independence in their home, but also have the added layer of support and security by being able to reach out to remote supports when needed, as opposed to just having a security system in place.
Molly, tell us a little bit about yourself and your role in Safe and Home.
Sure. My name is Molly Carroll, and I am a remote supports consultant as well. Our main job is to work with people served through county boards in the state of Ohio. What we do is we meet with individuals, we tell them about us, which we are remote supports and assistive technology, but we're much more than just those devices and the assistive tech. We have remote support staff 24/7 available to our individuals, in addition to the technology like a tablet or a GeoComm, Chris, something that you have, or we have smartwatches to track seizure activity or falls, stuff like that. But in combination with that, we have folks and people to support you, just like the traditional DSP role. But like Carrie was saying, we're just not in the home. We're from afar. We are on a tablet. We make calls. We'll check in different ways. So it gives another opportunity for more independence. I'd like to actually to show a quick video just to kind of display that, what we're talking about.
Hi, I'm Josh. I am 40 years old. I have autism and have been living on my own for about 6 months and like it a lot. You want to know what is important to me? My dog Goliath and the Steelers. Don't hate me for my football choices. I really like that I can now watch whatever I want to watch on TV, never miss a Steelers game, and can turn the TV up to how I want it. It's awesome. I really like taking Goliath for walks and that he can sleep on my bed if he wants to. My remote support staff are very cool. They check in with me and ask about Goliath and my medications. I like being able to take my meds on my own and doing the stuff I want to do without having to ask someone. I do check in with remote supports when I leave the house and kind of like that I can ask for directions on my GeoComm. I was a little nervous when I first spent the night on my own but think I am getting the hang of it now. I can talk with someone from Safe and Home at any time. I feel safe knowing I can get the support I need anytime I need it.
Just to talk a little bit more about Josh, who we saw in the video, I think Carrie mentioned before that remote supports is an added layer of security and safety. A good example of that is what we saw in that video with Josh walking his dog. He was still doing it fairly independent, right? He wanted to do it. He loved to do it by himself. But what we can provide is something called a geocom that he can take with him. It's mobile. It can stay in his house and it can go with him. And so that is a device where it's also connected to a person. So if Josh were to get mixed around or lost outside, he could just press a button and a staff person would come on. So then he would use a geolocate, that we would use the location to find out where Josh is, where he's lost, get him some directions back home safely. So we're providing that support remotely, but we're still there with him.
So your company is out of town, in Arizona, California. So how are these people going to know the individual's life and how this individual plans that need to be helped with in their home? They're out of state. How are they going to know this individual? Because this individual is in Ohio.
Sure. That's a really good question. And I think one that I asked myself too. But I often kind of think about it like social media now. Everybody, people have more friends online than they've never met before, So it's very similar to that. I will say that what I take great pride in Safe and Home is that we go the extra step to get to know our individuals. That's why we encourage these active check-in calls. It's not just so we can make sure you're taking your medicine. It's because we really want to know how your day's going, how walks we're going with Larkin, for example. I also think we all work together because, as you know, as remote supports consultants, once we get to know the person, we transfer all that information to the remote support staff. And so we're all working together to get to know you, to know, what you like, what you don't like. And it is different because we're not there with you in person. So we do rely on the virtual stuff, like kind of like what we're doing right now, or a FaceTime call, stuff like that. It's possible, though, to build that rapport just as well as you do in person.
So you have a lot of parents that is nervous about putting their child in a home apartment and allowing them to be independent. They're scared because they have autism, Down syndrome, other disabilities. When they get upset, typical may run out the door and run down the street. Maybe, open the door to strangers. How do you guys get the parents more comfortable allowing that to happen? Let that individual to be able to live independent.
Part of our process is once we receive a referral, typically from the county board, we will call the individual and the family, if families involved, or the guardian, and we have an in-home consultation with them. So we go to the home, we assess, we kind of figure out what the need is, and then we work together with the family and the individual to develop solutions using remote supports who may implement some assistive tech devices to kind of provide that support. And we, as I said, Safe and Home is very person-centered. It's all about the individual. So we may have two individuals using the exact same devices in two totally different ways, simply because we are person-centered. Independence doesn't necessarily mean moving out on your own and living in your own place. Independence is different for everyone. So it may just be coming into the home and bringing in a med dispenser that will, the individual, it's programmed to when they take their meds, and so they can actually take the medications, and then maybe mom, dad, or the HP staff don't have to do that for them. So that is an independence builder within the home. So we can start very small and move up, up and develop more skills towards independence. Molly, I'm sure you can agree with me. It's a lot of communication and support with the families. We are the provider. They are the people who are telling us what they need. So we listen to them, and then we develop from there.
If the individual is still at home, you are able to help them be independent. So mom or dad or brother and sister, whoever is there with them, is able to take that break because they know that they have remote support and that extra help. If mom, dad lay down and take a nap, how are they going to know if Johnny wants to run out of the door and run down the street? Is there a plan or something that you have that will allow remote support to know that individual opened the door and went out?
We have several different options. Like Carrie said, it would depend on what the person's comfortable with. I think oftentimes people think of remote supports and assistive technology as cameras inside the home or cameras outside the home, and that's not necessarily the case. Actually, a lot of times it's not. But what can replace that is a video doorbell camera, sensors, open close sensors we can place on the doors. And though that technology is attached to remote support, so they get the alert, and then we put certain protocols in place on how to problem solve, basically, because the running away, elopement, whatever we want to call it, is a common concern. And so we do have definitely different options to help mitigate that. But I also wanted to add really quickly to your question about the parents, because I think it's a very important question, and one that I have gotten several times over the years. And my response to that is always to think about typical people have the opportunity to take risks in their life, and so should people with disabilities. And so just like, when I went off to college, I'm sure my mom and my parents were very scared what would happen to me, what decisions I would make, what choices I would make, what poor ones, what good ones. But I had the ability to do that independently. And so that's what we want to give other folks, is the ability to choose and have some risks, but still have that safety net of a geocom, of a tablet, of a video doorbell, of a sensor on a door. So they're not completely alone, but they're allowed to make some of those own decisions. Another thing I think we do really good at is de-escalation strategies by getting to know the person. So if we're seeing someone getting agitated on a doorbell, like let's say on a front porch, we can call them and we can say, "Hey, Bill, what's going on?" And trying to problem solve that way. So I just wanted to add that really quickly.
So we're talking about the geocom. Individual may have that, so if they run out the door and the alert that remote support get that the front door got open, and then they turn on the camera on the porch, the ring camera, and see that they had left the porch and went down the sidewalk. So is that something that remote support can call them on a geocom and be like, "Hey, what's going on? Where are you going today? How are you feeling?" and things like that. Is that something that they use the geocom for too?
Yes, absolutely. It goes back to what Carrie was saying earlier, that the devices themselves have so many capabilities. It just depends on what the person needs. But yes, to answer your question, that's a great example of what remote supports could do, to kind of intervene, talk them out, talk to them, see what they're doing, how they can help.
Talking about Safe and Home being the remote support team in Arizona and California, do you guys serve more states out of Ohio?
We do. We are in 15 states, and it's growing every day. Every day we are looking at other states. Every state does things differently. So it's a lot of our administration meeting with those officials from different states and kind of setting up services to match what it is in that state. So it's a process, but we definitely are, looking to help as many people as we can across the nation to develop some independence and live independently, however that looks for them.
Molly, tell us a little bit about that video. What's important? What do you
Yeah.
want? What do you want other individuals to see in this video?
In this video, I think it's important to it highlights some of our most commonly used, I would say, technology or devices, or common concerns. Number one being cooking. Lots of folks and families and parents get concerned about, fire safety, obviously, all those things. Turning off the oven, remembering to do things. So you saw in the video when she was baking brownies, there was, it's called an automatic stove shut off that has sensors, of course, built into it, technology. So if that were to happen, if the oven gets to a certain heat temperature, we're alerted and we can turn the oven off, for example. Another example of that was you saw the tablet again. That's one of the really popular things that we have because it provides that face-to-face connection that we all are used to and still like, right? So to help problem solve, I'd say is huge for that.
As Molly said, we definitely have several devices that will address health and safety issues. That's a biggie for us. But I wanted to make it clear that that's not all we do. We do provide health and safety with things like the stove shut off valve or water overflow, or some of the monitors or sensors that we have. But we also do skill building, because the point here is we want individuals to start building towards independence. Like I said, however that looks. So when we do our consultation, we work with the family. One of the questions we ask is, tell me about your life, tell me about your day, what are your goals, what do you want to do? And once we learn that, we work with the county board to develop skill developments so that remote supports, when they do a call, can actually work on those skill developments with the individual as well. So it's not just, it is a huge chunk, it's safety and health and keeping everybody safe and, putting protection in place, but it's also about skill development. The ultimate goal of moving to as much independence as a person wants, desires, or can have.
What is one thing that you could leave positive to our individuals that are watching?
It's possible to think outside the box, and that your potential, there's no cap on anyone's potential, regardless of disability or not, and that there are different ways to reach goals, be independent, make your own choices, and it's just about a matter of expressing interest in something like what we do here at Safe at Home. Some people may be a really good fit and some people may not. And that's why we go to those consultations and we talk to folks about it. We get to know you and see what it is that you want and need. So I would say think big, the possibilities are endless, as they say.
Right there with you, Molly. And, my encouragement is always give it a try. I mean, what can you lose? Give it a try. And like Molly said, we can change things. So if we go in and do a consultation and we get it all set up and then it's not quite working how we thought, it's back to the drawing board. Or, you can just say, you know what, not for me. But I would always encourage people to at least give it a try. And also, I want to empower individuals to understand that if this is a service that they want, or if there are any services out there that they want, it is up to them to go to their service coordinator and request or talk to them about that. So they need, we want to advocate for ourselves to possibly receive services or some technology to build independence. And advocating for yourself means you take that step. You call your SSA. You talk to them and tell them what they want. SSAs are very busy these days, and so they're not going to call you. It may not be on their radar, so you have to put it on their radar if it's something that you want to try.
If an individual that don't have a service coordinator, but they have services through the aging program, community action program, is that something that they can help also?
Yes. Yep. I am actually working with someone through the Buckeye Boys program, Buckeye Boys Ranch. We have most of our services, all of the services that the individuals with developmental disabilities use are funded through the waiver, but we do have options for private pay. There's local funds that, there's where there's a will, there's a way.
Yes. And our systems, as we all know, are ever changing. So I would encourage folks in the aging population to reach out to us regardless. We're happy to have a conversation and just get to know them and see if we can help.
I realize that there are a number of remote support services. What is unique about your service?
First and foremost, we are very person-centered. I think that shows a lot through all of our staff too, like myself, Carrie. We are very dedicated to this field, have been in it for many, many years. We are embedded in the communities that we live and work in, very passionate about it. I will always go back to the person-centered because it's not a one-stop shop with us. Everybody looks different. And so therefore our services are going to look different for each person. I would say we definitely take that into consideration more than anything. We want it to be about the person, what's important to them and for them.
I agree, Molly. And as Molly said, I've been in this field and serving individuals for almost 30 years. And so I'm very excited and I know the potential that can happen. But I also recognize that this is really scary for families and individuals. We're throwing technology at them that they've never seen or heard of. They're worried that they're not going to be able to work it. So I think the fact that we are so supportive and really encouraging of that independence, but doing it at a pace that works for the family.
Yes.
And you mentioned Safe and Home is basically a holistic program, as far as we have field service techs that will come in and install the devices and then train and answer any questions. And then there's ongoing communication with client services, remote supports, and remote support consultants. We may be out of the home, but we're right there in your life. And so we will support you however you need to be supported at whatever speed.
How do we get in contact with you?
You could go to our website, safeandhome.com. You can give me a call. I represent the southwest part of Ohio counties. You can give me a call at 513-953-5313. I can also be reached by email at mcarroll, CARROLL, at safeandhome.com.
And I serve Central Ohio. And so you can give me a call at 740-207-5800 or chayes@safeandhome.com. And we do have remote support consultants all over the state. So if you're watching this and you're not in Western, Southwestern, or Central Ohio, still reach out and we can, direct you to the consultant in your area.
Some final words of wisdom.
My final words of wisdom would be there's no hurt in trying or asking questions. I would say always advocate for yourself. With Safe and Home, you will always get an advocate. I encourage anyone to reach out with questions or concerns or anything like that. We love talking to people. Like Carrie said, we're in 88 counties, all 88 counties in Ohio. And I would say just reach out so you can learn more. Like I said earlier, the potential is there.
If you meet with Safe and Home, you're going to find that we are willing to guide and help you navigate through life to get independence. And it doesn't always mean you're going to use our services, but we're there and we are a rich resource for families of services that they may need.
This has been Technology for Independence with Christopher Cooley. Today, Christopher talked with individuals, Carrie and Molly from Safe and Home Remote Services. Thank you, and we look forward to talking with them again sometime in the future.